Okay, Stevie, any favorites you
I'm
ever
just
heard from
wondering,
Chuckii?
when you first heard Mark Morrison, Return of the Mac, how did you feel?
Uh, at first, when I first heard it, I'm just like, wow, okay. I said, uh, somebody took my sample. I said, so the first thing I did was I called my attorney because I didn't know anything about it. So, I'm like, oh wow. And then it comes to find out that he didn't have anything to do with that mix. It was another guy whom I'm not going to.
Oops.
It's about the
The Mark Morrison track.
Right. So
And
yeah,
you
I mean,
call in an attorney or something.
yeah, I called my attorney and he says, okay. He says, I'm on it. So it just so happens that the guy who that's actually a remix because the actual record version is not.
No.
That
It was called Father and Joe, the C&J guys from, I think it was Denmark, who did the remix.
Yeah.
They obviously, being DJs, would have heard Games.
Oh yeah.
And probably thought, let's use that. So I was just interested because with Chuckii Booker from your '92 album, it was like you kind of went missing. It was like, I wonder what Chuckii thinks of this.
Yeah. Well, no, I thought it was great. As long as I get a piece of it, Hey, I'm not mad. You want a sample? I'm all for it. That's great. Just give me what my just due, as I say. So it's all right.
I mean, pre your first album in the '80s, from say the mid '80s to the late '80s, you seem to do quite a bit of stuff, whether it be playing on something or writing something or producing something. I'm trying to convince Nnamdi, because we do a New Jack Swing podcast, not just to go for the bigger, well-known artists, but we needed to get the histories of a lot of the forgotten artists or the unsung artists. Can we start with these? Tease and this guy as well, Kipper Jones, who obviously was part of this group.
That is my guy.
Can you tell us about this in M2 May, because obviously M2 May was a big part of this album.
Yes. Yeah,
that.
Yeah, that particular record, which is really crazy, that album, I actually was gone by then.
Wow.
I left the group by that time, that record, because I went to go ahead and pursue my own career as far as, doing production and writing. And, I love all the guys, like I said, Kipper's my guy, and he understood, because there was a lot of turmoil at the time with the group. A couple of the members, fell out and they left. And, it was really just a crazy situation at that time. So I decided to leave. However, when they started that record, they got into it. Kipper, they were actually recording it in New Jersey, in East Orange, New Jersey, with M2 And Kipper called me and said, hey man, look, we're doing this record. M2 has his keyboard players and a lot of his guys, but it just, and they're great. He says, but they don't have that funk, that swing, man. And man, we need you to come out. And, Kipper, I would never turn that down, man. If Kipper say, hey, you want me to come out? I'll be there. As long as the other cats are cool with it, I'm there. And so, sure enough, I came out. We had a great time. I worked with M2 who was great. He did his thing, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, the rest is history.
There was a label as well. I noticed, an independent label at the time. Is it KMA? And there's Copper.
Yeah, I was also. Yeah, I was also.
Because that, again, to me, listening to that, it's very pre-New Jack.
Yes.
A lot of funky
absolutely
New Jack as well. But who was she? Just gone, disappeared.
Yeah, well, KMA Records, that was Copper. They had quite a few artists on that label. KMA Records was actually it was a production company out of San Fernando Valley, California at the time. They were called Jam Power Records. Okay. And I was like one of the chief producers for that company
Wow.
at the time. At the same time I was working with them, I was also working with Tease, and I was also signed to Unlimited Gold Records, which was my godfather's record label, which was the main reason why I couldn't really sign with Tease at the time, because I was already committed to working with my godfather. So again, I had so many things on the table working at that time, and to this day, I'm the same way. I like to work, man. I love music, and I want to have my hands in the cookie jar as much as I can, because that's just who I am. I've been built like that. It's in my DNA. And
what happened to Copper though? Did she ever were any major labels interested in her? I just wondered. Really.
I don't know what Copper with her management had at the time. At that time she was very huge in LA, especially with the radio station Power 106. She had a song called Second to None, which I produced, and it went number one, on the radio stations there at the time. It was a big song. It was a dance record.
Mm-hmm.
Did very well. She had a lot of great songs, but again, I don't know the business aspect of it with the record company and the management, whether or not if she had any interest. But looking at how they played her records in LA at the time on the big radio stations, I would have to guess that she did have to have some type of interest, but I'm just not sure, if it, followed through.
There was another group as well, again, very obscure. They made 2 albums called Chill. Who were them guys?
Yes. Wow, man, you going back. Yeah. Chill, again, was part of the same label. I worked with them as well. I worked with almost every artist on that record label. Chill was great, man. They had a lot of talent, a lot of creativity. The biggest record I did for them was a song called 16 that did really well. Again, I did the entire track, and I just kind of brought the guys in and, sung and produced the vocals and whatnot. It was more of a kind of a time kind of feel, the time, Morris Day and the time feel, but it did really well for them. Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the way your sound developed, and it did. I'm just thinking, did you have an eye on what Teddy was doing over on the East Coast? Because it did, you sounded develop into a bit of a swing, Yeah.
Yeah. What's really funny about that is I respect Teddy, for what he did. He actually created that New Jack Swing thing. And a lot of people put me in that era when they hear Turned Away. They're like, oh, that's New Jack. And I'm like, no, it's not New Jack. It's go-go. That is a go-go beat that I basically took that vibe, go-go, because I'm a big go-go fan. So, with the go-go bells and the congas and the feel of it was more or less, it was go-go and not New Jack, but since I came out during that era, that time of New Jack Swing, they just said, oh, it's New Jack, but no, it's not.
Who was this guy? DuPont.
Oh man,
looking a bit like Milli Vanilli, bit of a Milli, Terence Trent D'Arby.
Wow, now that was my buddy DuPont. He was on MCA Records. Now it's funny that you said Milli Vanilli, because he was the background singer for Milli Vanilli at the time when he got his deal at MCA.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
And he sung background with him for quite a few years.
So what happened to him then? Obviously, he seemed to disappear after this album.
Man, it's hard to say, because at that time he was signed to with MCA Records. God, who was that? I can't. Oh, Lil Silas was the main guy. Yeah, was the main guy at MCA. He called me and says, "Hey, I just signed this kid who sings background with Milli Vanilli." He says, "I really believe in him. I need a funk jam for him." And so what's funny about that was this song that I did on him called Hurricane was actually a song that I did on Copper.
Yes.
Prior to, to DuPont. And he loved the song. He heard it. And he said, man, he goes, you did this song called Hurricane. And he says, but no one else, it didn't really get any attention. But he says, I would love to redo it, to recut it. And I said, sure. So that's what I did.
There's a guy, on a lot of the stuff you kind of produced or wrote, there's another guy who always springs up. And I know you know him. And again, we don't know whether he's reluctant to come on. We really want to get him on the show. Is a guy called Deance. I don't know if I
Deance,
yeah. This unsung legend. Nobody. He doesn't seem to any interviews. He's produced so much stuff. Had his own sound like you did.
Yes.
We need his story. We need that guy's story.
Guess what? I just had a surprise unsung party for me in LA, and Deance just came and showed up, and we chopped it up for a while. So yeah, I'm in contact with him. I can be more than happy to pass him on. You know why? Because from an LA perspective, that guy is seriously talented. Like, he's just like me in a lot of ways. He plays every instrument. He can sing. He plays bass. He's a great bassist, man. He can really play his butt off, and he's a great performer. And there's a big story behind Deance that a lot of people don't know. How I met him, and we also played together when I was on the road with the Isley Brothers. He played and danced with the Isley Brothers at the time. Wow. This was 93, 94. So we have a lot of history, man. But we actually met at the Inglewood Talent Show back when he was like 16. I was like 18 or 19. And he was going to perform in the show, but he didn't have a band. So I was the MD of the house band at the time. And he came up to me and said, hey, man, he says, I want to perform, but I don't have a band. So I was wondering if you guys knew any of Michael Jackson's songs. I said, yeah, what do you want to do? He said, I want to do Lady of My Life and Billie Jean. Wow. So, of course, my guys knew the song. I said, let's do it. I'll just follow you. You sing it and just look at me and we'll follow it. There were like 20 people in the talent show, and he did those two songs, killed it. He ended up winning the talent show. Wow. And we've been in touch ever since.
Because he put an album out back then. I love the album, but again, it just seemed to disappear.
Great record.
Yeah.
And again, he was signed to MCA Records. He just never got, the recognition that he deserved. But he is incredibly talented, man. When I tell you he's incredibly talented, he just never really got the break that he deserved.
Every single day